This playlist will completely change how you handle life's chaos. Modern Stoics are quietly dominating every industry because they've mastered something most people never learn. While everyone else panics during setbacks, these individuals stay unshakable. They've weaponized ancient wisdom that Marcus Aurelius and Seneca used to build empires. Each principle in this collection teaches you to control what matters and release what doesn't. Your mind becomes your greatest asset instead of your biggest enemy, ready to think like the most powerful leaders in history.
Life is not always simple. We all carry fears, doubts, and hidden struggles. Yet within every human being, there exists an incredible power to rise above circumstances. Ancient philosophy and modern psychology together reveal timeless truths about how the mind works and how we can guide it towards strength and resilience. The Stoics, living 2,000 years ago, discovered that suffering is not in events themselves, but in the judgments we make about those events. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Modern psychology agrees. Our brains hold a negativity bias, focusing on danger and failure far more than on safety or joy. This bias was once a survival mechanism, but in the modern world it chains us to stress and overthinking. The wisdom of Stoicism is to recognize what is within our control and to release the rest. That practice alone frees enormous energy. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what today is truly within my control? Your thoughts, your actions, your choices. Not the behavior of others, not the accidents of fortune, not the gossip of strangers. Epictetus said, "We suffer not from the things themselves, but from our judgments about them." Modern psychology echoes this in cognitive behavioral therapy, where the central principle is that thoughts shape emotions, and emotions shape behavior. Change your thoughts, and your world begins to change. Did you know that most of the worries that plague your mind never actually come true? Studies show that more than 70% of the anxieties people obsess about never materialize. The Stoics saw this clearly. Seneca observed that we are tormented more by our imagination than by reality. Fear, he said, is worse than the thing feared. When you remember this, you begin to reclaim power from the shadows of your mind. Another fascinating fact: the human brain lights up when we hear our own name. It is as if the entire nervous system leans forward, attentive. Relationships thrive on recognition. This is why remembering a person's name carries extraordinary influence. The Stoics taught respect for every human being, no matter how lowly their position. To call someone by name is to honor their existence. In a world flooded with distraction, small acts of attention carry immense weight. Journaling was a secret weapon of the Stoics, and modern neuroscience proves why it works. Writing down fears, hopes, and reflections reduces mental load, organizes chaotic thoughts, and brings clarity. Marcus Aurelius never wrote his meditations to publish them. They were simply his nightly conversation with himself. By recording what troubled him and what he wished to embody, he became stronger day by day. Today, psychologists recommend expressive writing as therapy for trauma, stress, and anxiety. The ancient practice lives on in modern science. Gratitude changes the chemistry of the brain. When you pause to recognize something you are thankful for, dopamine and serotonin increase, enhancing feelings of contentment. The Stoics insisted that joy does not depend on wealth or luxury, but on seeing the simple blessings already present. Epictetus reminded his students, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you do not." Take a moment each night to note 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how small: a conversation, a meal, the breath in your lungs. Gratitude is the seed of resilience. Overthinking, however, drains the mind of energy. When you circle endlessly around possibilities, the brain loses its sharpness. Decisions become harder. Confidence shrinks. Psychology calls this analysis paralysis. The Stoics had a solution: action. Stop spinning inside the storm of thought and take one clear step forward. Don't explain your philosophy, Epictetus said. Embody it. Action cuts the knot of overthinking. Another Stoic practice, strangely modern, is negative visualization. Imagine losing what you love. Imagine failure, sickness, even death. Why? Not to frighten yourself, but to awaken gratitude. When you realize that everything you have is fragile and temporary, you stop taking it for granted. Research in psychology shows that contemplating worst-case scenarios actually reduces anxiety because the mind stops being shocked by them. You see the possibility, you accept it, and you become stronger. Life's blows then feel less like ambushes and more like challenges you trained for. Science also shows that happiness does not primarily come from possessions, but from relationships. The longest study on human happiness, conducted at Harvard for over 75 years, found that strong social bonds predict not only joy, but even physical health and longevity. The Stoics knew this intuitively. Seneca wrote letters to his friends that still inspire today. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Whenever you wake, think of the gift it is to be among people, even if they are troublesome, because we were made for cooperation. Wealth fades, beauty fades, but friendship and compassion endure." Another hidden truth: your brain mirrors the emotions of those around you. Neuroscientists call them mirror neurons. If someone nearby is anxious, you feel anxious. If they are calm, you breathe easier. This is why the Stoics emphasized self-control, not only for your own sake, but because your state affects everyone you encounter. When you choose calm over anger, you pass that calmness into the world. Psychology has also shown that writing down goals dramatically increases the chance of achieving them. The act of recording them clarifies intention and primes the brain to notice opportunities. Stoics practiced this through daily reflection. What did I do well? What did I fail in? What will I improve tomorrow? This cycle of reflection is the root of self-mastery. Every day presents challenges, insults, disappointments, losses. The Stoic approach is not to deny pain, but to meet it with perspective. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that people act out of ignorance, not malice. If a child strikes you in play, you do not grow furious. You understand the child does not know better. Extend that same grace to adults. Psychology affirms that reinterpreting the meaning of an event, what therapists call reappraisal, reduces anger and stress. By choosing a different story, you change your emotional outcome. Self-discipline, though often feared, is actually freedom. When you master desires, you are no longer a slave to them. Stoics practice temperance in food, drink, and pleasure. Modern studies show that delayed gratification, the ability to wait for a larger reward rather than taking a smaller one immediately, predicts success in nearly every area of life. The famous marshmallow test with children proved that those who could wait grew up with better life outcomes. Discipline is destiny. One of the most important lessons both Stoicism and psychology teach is that thoughts are not facts. Just because a thought passes through your mind does not mean it reflects reality. You can observe thoughts, question them, and choose which ones to keep. Meditation trains this skill. Marcus Aurelius treated his own mind as a battlefield, watching which thoughts deserved space and which needed to be dismissed. Modern mindfulness research shows that observing thoughts without attachment reduces anxiety and depression. Remember also the inevitability of death. The Stoics meditated on mortality, not to be morbid, but to be motivated. Memento mori, remember you must die. This was not despair, but fuel. If life is short, then every moment is precious. Modern psychology calls this mortality salience, and experiments show that when people are reminded of death, they often shift priorities toward meaning, love, and creativity. Awareness of death makes life vivid. Resilience is built not in comfort, but in challenge. Muscles grow by resistance, and so does character. Every setback is material for growth. The Stoics compared themselves to wrestlers who welcome stronger opponents, because strength emerges only through struggle. Psychologists now call this post-traumatic growth, the phenomenon where individuals not only recover from hardship, but become wiser and more compassionate than before. Pain, when met with perspective, becomes transformation. The truth is that you are stronger than you believe. Every human being carries within them an untapped reservoir of endurance. When you think you are finished, you are often only at 40% of your capacity. The Stoics would nod in agreement. You are capable of more than you fear, and more than you imagine. The challenge is to step forward, moment by moment, in courage. So the wisdom of Stoicism and the insights of psychology converge. Control what you can, Release what you cannot. Observe your thoughts, but do not be ruled by them. Cultivate gratitude, strengthen relationships. Act with discipline. Reflect daily. Remember death, and above all, choose virtue, for in choosing virtue, you choose peace. This is not abstract philosophy, but practical guidance for living. In every breath, you can decide, will I be mastered by circumstance, or will I master myself? The choice is yours. Do you ever feel as if the world is constantly testing you, as if every day brings new challenges, rude comments, unfair treatment, and unexpected problems? Do you sometimes feel drained, frustrated, and powerless? Imagine instead a version of yourself who remains calm and steady no matter what happens. Picture walking through life like a mountain, standing above the clouds, unshaken by storms. This is what a Stoic mindset gives you, the ability to hold your peace and strength even when the outside world is chaotic. A Stoic mindset is not about being cold or emotionless. It is about being deeply aware of your own inner life and taking responsibility for it. It is about understanding that you cannot control what people do or what events occur, but you can control the way you interpret them and how you respond. Most people hand over their peace to strangers without even noticing. A stranger cuts them off on the road, and their entire mood collapses. A colleague criticizes them, and they replay the words again and again in their mind. You do not have to live like this. You can train your mind to be like a clear lake. A stone may splash on the surface, but the depths remain still. When someone says something hurtful, it only enters you if you let it. Words are vibrations in the air. Opinions are projections of someone else's inner state. You can acknowledge them without absorbing them. Think of a mirror. A mirror reflects everything placed before it, but stays unchanged. In the same way, you can see and hear what others do without letting it define you. This is not weakness, this is power. Breath is a tool you can always use. When you feel the rise of anger or irritation, pause and take a slow, deep breath. Let the air enter your lungs fully and leave slowly. As you breathe, silently tell yourself, this moment is outside my control, but my reaction is mine. This small pause creates a space where choice lives. In that space, you can decide what kind of person you want to be. You can respond with calmness instead of reaction. Over time, this becomes a habit. People will notice the difference. They will see someone who listens, who stays grounded, who cannot be provoked easily. They will trust you more. You will trust yourself more. Negativity loses its power when you refuse to feed it. Gossip, criticism, and anger feed on attention. If you refuse to join, they wither. Each time you let a harsh comment pass without taking it personally, you grow stronger. Think of training in a gym. At first, the weight is heavy, but every repetition builds muscle. Each moment you choose calm over anger, you are strengthening your mind. After weeks and months, things that once triggered you no longer do. You smile at delays, you remain patient with mistakes, you keep your energy for what matters. Daily reflection deepens this mindset. In the morning, remind yourself, today you will meet people who may be impatient, rude, or careless, but they cannot take your peace unless you give it to them. Take a few minutes to write down what you are grateful for and how you want to stay calm today. This simple practice sets the tone for the entire day. In the evening, review your day. Ask gently, where did I keep my calm? Where did I lose it? What can I practice tomorrow? This is not self-criticism, but self-training. It is like a craftsman sharpening a tool a little each day. As you practice, you discover hidden benefits. Your mind becomes clearer. Decisions feel less rushed. Relationships improve because you speak and act from steadiness instead of impulse. You stop overreacting to small irritations. You set boundaries without anger. People around you begin to relax because your calmness feels safe. You become an anchor in a stormy sea. Others may still behave badly, but you no longer hand over your power. You stand like a lighthouse. The waves crash, but the light keeps shining. A surprising change happens inside you as well. When you are no longer caught in your own reactions, you see more clearly why others act the way they do. You realize that most people's anger and rudeness are symptoms of their own pain or confusion. Instead of taking it personally, you can respond with calm understanding or simply let it go. This is not about being passive. It is about choosing where your energy goes. You can still act firmly, set limits and protect yourself, but you do it from a place of clarity rather than rage. Picture yourself at work facing a difficult meeting. In the past, you might have entered nervous, defensive, or frustrated. With a Stoic mindset, you enter prepared, breathing slowly, reminding yourself that only your actions are under your control. You speak calmly. You listen without taking offense. You leave the meeting without carrying other people's stress with you. Imagine facing traffic, delays, criticism, personal loss. Instead of spiraling, you breathe, accept what is beyond your control, and focus on what you can do now. Each time you do this, you build an invisible armor of calm. Not a hard shell, but a steady core. This approach does not turn you into a robot. It makes you more human, not less. Because you are not constantly triggered, you have more space for compassion, for creativity, for joy. You laugh more easily, you listen more deeply, you choose your battles wisely. Your mind becomes a friend instead of an enemy. You discover that inner freedom is possible even in difficult circumstances. You stop living on autopilot and start living deliberately. Freedom is the real gift of this practice. Freedom from the emotional control of strangers. Freedom from the roller coaster of every comment and every event. Freedom to focus your energy on what truly matters. Your goals, your growth, your peace of mind. This freedom is not cold or distant. It is warm and empowering. It lets you be kinder, more compassionate and more present because you are no longer caught in constant emotional storms. Begin today. Build this mindset with small daily actions. Every pause instead of reaction is a training. Every breath before speaking is a training. Every moment of gratitude builds strength. Remember, your reaction is your power. The more you control it, the freer and stronger you become. This is the practice of Stoicism, and this is your strength. Imagine waking up tomorrow with only the things you are truly grateful for today. Pause and think for a moment. What would remain in your life? What possessions, what relationships, what moments of joy would still be there? Ancient Stoics believed that gratitude is not merely a polite habit or a fleeting emotion. They considered it the very foundation of a fulfilled and happy life. Because when we learn to appreciate what we already have, we stop endlessly chasing what we don't, and our minds find peace. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive and to see another day." Is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. For him, gratitude was not an abstract concept. It was a daily ritual, a way of framing his mind to recognize life itself as a gift. Even amid the immense pressures of ruling an empire, he reminded himself to be thankful for the simple, everyday miracles of existence. Gratitude matters because the human mind is naturally restless. We are conditioned to focus on what we lack rather than on what we have. We compare ourselves to others and feel deprived, endlessly chasing the next achievement, the next possession, the next moment of recognition. But gratitude shifts this perspective. It allows us to pause and notice the abundance already present in our lives, the friends who support us, the opportunities we have, the skills we can develop, and even the air we breathe. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have." If we are never satisfied, if we are always longing for more, happiness will always remain just out of reach. Gratitude teaches us to embrace the present moment instead of postponing joy for some imagined future. It teaches us that fulfillment is not a destination, but a way of seeing. But Stoic gratitude goes further. It does not ask us to ignore pain or to pretend that life is perfect. Instead, it invites us to see challenges as opportunities. Epictetus, who began life as a slave and became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, believed that even hardships could be blessings in disguise. He said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens, and you will be happy." In other words, gratitude is not just for pleasant experiences, it is for everything that life presents, because every experience has value. Consider this: the obstacles, failures, and difficulties we encounter often become the greatest teachers. Without struggle, we would never grow stronger, never develop resilience, and never learn the lessons that shape our character. Gratitude in adversity transforms suffering into strength. Instead of resentment, we develop acceptance. Instead of frustration, we develop insight. Stoics believed that a mind trained in gratitude could turn even misfortune into a path toward wisdom and serenity. Modern research confirms what the Stoics already knew. Studies show that people who practice gratitude regularly experience lower stress, better sleep, stronger relationships, and higher levels of happiness. Gratitude literally rewires the brain, increasing activity in areas associated with positive emotions, social connection, and mental resilience. In short, it trains the mind to notice the good, even amidst difficulties. So how can we cultivate this Stoic form of gratitude in our daily lives? First, through morning reflection. Each day, remind yourself of the privilege of life itself, the gift of consciousness, the ability to experience and learn. Second, through gratitude journaling. Each night, write down 3 things you are truly thankful for, no matter how small. Third, through reframing challenges. When faced with obstacles, instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What lesson does this situation hold? And how can I grow stronger from this?" Gratitude is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you exercise it. At first, it may feel unnatural because our brains are wired to notice problems and threats. But with daily practice, gratitude becomes a mindset, a way of seeing the world through clarity, acceptance, and peace. Over time, the smallest details of life, a smile from a stranger, a cool breeze on a summer day, a meal shared with loved ones, begin to shine with significance. Finally, why is gratitude the key to happiness? Because happiness does not come from acquiring everything we desire. True happiness comes from realizing the wealth already present in our lives. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By cultivating gratitude, we shape our thoughts and in turn, we shape our experience of life. Choose gratitude, and you choose a life of serenity, joy, and resilience, no matter what circumstances surround you. Remember, every moment we are alive is an opportunity to practice gratitude. Every breath, every challenge, every encounter, every achievement is a reason to say thank you. To life, to the universe, and to ourselves. The Stoics understood this deeply, and so can we. Let gratitude guide you, and happiness will follow. But practicing gratitude is not just a fleeting thought. It is a daily commitment. It is choosing in each moment to notice the good instead of being consumed by the negative. Imagine walking through your day, not as a series of problems to solve, but as a series of gifts to observe. The smile of a stranger, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of laughter around you. These are small treasures that we often overlook. Gratitude also strengthens our relationships. When we take the time to truly appreciate the people in our lives, we deepen our connections. A simple thank you or a gesture of acknowledgement can transform interactions, creating bonds built on respect and recognition. Stoics believed that human connection is a vital part of a flourishing life. By expressing gratitude, we nurture the social bonds that make life meaningful. Moreover, gratitude allows us to confront our fears and anxieties with courage. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. But when we approach difficulties with a grateful mindset, we shift from resistance to acceptance. We no longer see hardships as threats, but as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The Stoics called this the art of turning obstacles into advantages, and it is one of the most powerful practices for a serene life. Finally, gratitude invites reflection and presence. In a world constantly rushing forward, taking a moment to pause and appreciate what is, right here, right now, grounds us. It reminds us that happiness is not in the future or in external circumstances. It is in the quality of our awareness, in our appreciation for the life we are living today. So as you move through your day, remember, gratitude is not a passive feeling, but an active choice. It is a lens through which we can view the world, transforming ordinary moments into extraordinary ones. Let it shape your thoughts, your actions, and your relationships. Let it guide your mind to see abundance instead of scarcity, opportunity instead of obstacle, joy instead of discontent. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Carry that wisdom with you, and let gratitude be the key that unlocks a life of true happiness."
What if I told you that true confidence doesn't come from looking perfect, being popular, or having money? The Stoics believe that real confidence is built in silence, when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, and when you stand tall in the face of life's chaos. Confident, in the Stoic sense, is not loud. It's calm, grounded, and unshakable, a strength that no insult, no failure, and no rejection can destroy. And today, we'll uncover how Stoic philosophy can help you develop this kind of mental power, the kind that makes you unstoppable. For most people, confidence is fragile. It depends on validation, success, or how others perceive it. But Stoicism, the ancient philosophy practiced by figures like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, offers a radically different view. To the Stoics, confidence is not arrogance or bravado, it's self-command. It's knowing that while you cannot control what happens outside, you can always master what happens inside. They train their minds to remain steady in failure, calm in conflict, and humble in success. They believe that external circumstances, money, fame, approval could vanish overnight, but inner strength, that can never be taken from you. In this video, we'll explore the timeless Stoic principles that can help you build unshakable confidence, the kind that doesn't depend on luck, applause, or even the approval of others. So, let's begin the journey toward mastering your mind. Number 1, know what you can control and surrender what you can't. The foundation of all Stoic confidence lies in one core principle: control. The Stoics divided the world into two categories: what's within your control and what is. Your actions, choices, and thoughts are within your control. Everything else, other people's opinion, outcomes, or the past, is not. Epictetus said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not. When you stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable, your mind becomes lighter and stronger. You no longer spiral over what others think or what might go wrong. Instead, you focus on your effort, your response, and your growth. That's where true confidence begins. Not in predicting success, but in trusting your own discipline regardless of the outcome. Number 2, turn adversity into advantage. The Stoics viewed obstacles not as problems, but as opportunities for strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every challenge, every setback, every criticism, all of it is fuel for growth. The Stoic sees difficulty as a gem for the soul. While others complain, you train. When life throws chaos your way, you don't panic, you adapt. Confidence grows when you stop fearing struggle. Each time you endure discomfort, your mind tough. Each time you rise after falling, your spirit hard. Real mental strength is not built in comfort, it's forged in resistance. Number 3, master your inner dialogue. What you say to yourself daily shapes your reality. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology confirmed it. Negative self-talk weakens confidence, while rational, grounded thinking fortifies. Epictetus taught his students to challenge destructive thoughts immediately. When your mind says, "I'm not good enough," respond as a Stoic would. Is that true or just a judgment? When your thoughts tell you, "I'll fail," ask, "Can I be certain of that? Or am I just fearing uncertainty?" The Stoic mind doesn't drown in emotion, it observes. It replaces doubt with logic, panic with perspective, and fear with preparation. You don't control what thoughts arrive, but you control whether they stay. And once you master your internal dialogue, your external world starts to change too. Number 4, practice voluntary discomfort. Modern society teaches us to chase comfort, luxury, convenience, safe, but the Stoics believe comfort weakens the soul. To be confident in all situations, you must occasionally step into discomfort voluntarily. Seneca advised practicing poverty, sleeping on the floor, eating plain food, wearing simple clothes, not as punishment, but as training. By reminding yourself how little you truly need to survive, you become fearless of law. When you expose yourself to small hardships regularly, cold showers, fasting, rejection, failure, your mind adapts. You no longer crumble when things get hard because you've already built resilience. Voluntary discomfort transforms fear into familiarity. It makes you realize that you can handle more than you ever imagined. Number 5, detach from external validation. Confidence collapses when it depends on praise. The Stoics warned against seeking validation from others because it enslaves your peace to their approval. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that the opinions of others are fleeting. Soon you will have forgotten all things, and all things will have forgotten. When you live to impress, you become a puppet to the applause of the crowd. But when you act from principle, doing what's right, not what's popular, your confidence becomes unshakable. The Stoic way is to act with integrity and let go of results. You don't need the world to clap for you when you're already proud of your own discipline. Number 6, keep a daily reflection ritual. Confidence and strength are not one-time achievements, they are practice. The Stoics ended every day with reflection. They examined their thoughts, words, and actions, asked, what did I do well? What could I improve? Did I live by my principles? This nightly review wasn't about guilt, it was about growth. By confronting their own weaknesses daily, they prevented arrogance and nurtured humility. And humility, paradoxically, is what gives confidence its true depth because it's rooted in honest, not illusion. A short journaling ritual before bed, inspired by Marcus Aurelius' meditation, can change your mental landscape. It turns life from chaos into clarity, and over time, you develop calm assurance, knowing that each day, you're a bit better than yesterday. Number 7, live by virtue, not emotion. Stoicism teaches that a confident life is a virtuous life. The 4 Stoic virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, are the compass of inner strength. When you live with wisdom, you act thoughtfully, not impulsively. With courage, you face fear. With justice, you treat others with fairness and dignity. And with temperance, you control your desires and impulse. The Stoic doesn't chase confidence directly, it emerges naturally when your actions align with these virtues. You don't need to feel confident, you become confident by acting with integrity. True power is moral power. The moment you stop being ruled by emotions and start being guided by principle, you become unshakable. Number 8, remember the shortness of life. Memento mori, remember you will die. To the Stoics, this was not a dark thought, but a liberating. When you accept mortality, fear loses its grip. You stop wasting time worrying about rejection, failure, or judgment because you realize how small those things are in the face of death. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." Confidence doesn't mean thinking you'll live forever. It means knowing your time is limited and acting boldly anyway. Each day is a chance to live fully, without hesitation or regret. When you see life through this lens, you stop delaying your dreams, stop fearing what others think, and stop doubting your worth. You begin living with clarity and fearlessness, the essence of unshakable mental strength. Stoic secrets are not quick fixes. They are timeless disciplines that can reshape your mind from the inside out. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They faced betrayal, illness, war, and loss, yet they stood calm amid the storm. Why? Because they mastered their thoughts. Overthinking will always try to creep in, but Stoicism teaches you how to stop letting it control you. When you separate what you can control from what you can't, you stop wasting energy on the impossible. When you stay in the present, your mind stops wandering to fears that don't exist. When you face discomfort, you build resilience. When you journal, you make peace with your thoughts. And when you practice acceptance and gratitude, the noise of life fades into quiet strength. The Stoic life isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about understanding them. It's not about avoiding pain, it's about transforming it into wisdom. Every time you face overthinking, remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer behind them. If you make these Stoic habits part of your life, you'll find a peace that can't be shaken by outside chaos. You'll stop trying to control everything and start mastering yourself. Confidence is not a mask you wear, it's a mindset you build. The Stoics understood that real power comes from mastering your reaction, disciplining your desire, and finding peace in the present. When you know what's within your control, when you train your mind to see opportunity in adversity, when you detach from the noise of validation and live according to virtue, you become unstoppable. The world may change, people may judge, circumstances may fail, but your composure remains. That's what it means to possess Stoic confidence, the calm, silent strength of a warrior who has mastered himself. So take these Stoic lessons to heart, reflect daily, stay disciplined, let your actions speak louder than your emotion. And in time, you'll discover that the most powerful person in any room is the one who needs nothing. If you found this video inspiring and want to continue learning the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Stay strong, stay grounded, and keep walking the Stoic path. 5 Stoic hacks to handle toxic people in total silence. Toxic people thrive on one thing: your reaction. They want you angry, frustrated, defensive. They want to pull you into their emotional chaos because that's where they have power. But the moment you learn to respond with silent calm and control, their power collapses. The ancient Stoic philosophers mastered this art centuries ago. They faced betrayal, insults, and manipulation, yet remained unshaken. The Stoics discovered that the best revenge is not loud confrontation, but total composure. In this video, we'll uncover 5 Stoic hacks that will teach you how to deal with toxic people silently and effectively without losing your peace, your dignity, or your self-control. By the end, you'll know exactly how to protect your energy, disarm negativity, and rise above the drama with quiet strength. We all encounter toxic people at work, at home, or sometimes even among our closest friends. They might criticize you constantly, twist your words, manipulate situations, or drain your energy with their negativity. Most of us react emotionally, trying to argue, justify, or prove ourselves right. But Stoicism teaches something radical. You don't need to fight chaos, you only need to master. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus lived in times when insults, betrayal, and public humiliation were part of daily life. Yet their teachings on emotional control remain unmatched even today. They believe that no one can can truly harm you unless you give them permission through your reaction. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harm. In this video, we'll learn how to use 5 Stoic strategies to handle toxic people in complete silence, not as a form of weak, but as the highest form of strength. Let's begin. Hack 1. Master the pause. Control before you respond. The first Stoic hack is deceptively simple, yet incredibly powerful. Pause before you respond. When a toxic person attacks you verbally, your instinct is to react instantly, to defend, explain, or fire back. But the Stoics understood that emotional control begins in that small gap between stimulus and response. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. That reaction, that pause, is where all your power lies. When you feel provoked, stop. Don't respond right away. Let the wave of emotion pass before you speak or act. This silence disarms toxic people because they crave a reaction. Your calmness frustrates their expectations and exposes their own instability. In that pause, remind yourself, I can't control what they say, but I can control what I do next. That awareness alone creates distance between their chaos and your peace. Over time, mastering this pause transforms your relations. You stop being pulled into other people's storms and instead become the eye of calm within them. Hack 2. Detach emotionally. Become the observer, not the victim. The second Stoic hack is emotional detachment. Stoicism teaches that other people's words and actions are external events outside your control. You only control your interpretation of them. The moment you stop taking things personally, toxic people lose their grip on your emotion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken about what is good or bad. Teach or bear with. That means their behavior says more about them than about you. When you detach emotionally, you become an observer rather than a victim. Instead of saying they disrespected, you think this person is acting out of ignorance or pain. That small mental shift neutralizes the emotional charge. You start to see their toxicity as a reflection of their inner turmoil, not your words. Silence becomes your shield because you refuse to feed their negativity. You no longer play their game. Remember this Stoic truth. You are only hurt when you choose to believe you are. By practicing emotional detachment, you rise above the norm. You move from reaction to observation, from chaos to clarity. Hack 3. Set boundaries without word. The third Stoic hack is to set silent boundaries. Toxic people often test limits. They interrupt, guilt trip, or manipulate situations to get what they want. The Stoics knew that integrity isn't declared, it's demonstrated. You don't need to argue about your boundaries. You enforce them with consistent action. Seneca said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. Boundaries aren't about punishment, they're about self-respect. You don't need to shout or justify your distance. Your silence speaks for itself. If someone constantly drains your energy, reduce access quietly. If they insult, don't defend, walk away. If they lie, don't expose them, stop trusting. Stoics act, they don't over-explain. This silent boundary setting confuses toxic people because they expect drama. They feed on emotional reaction. When you respond with calm withdrawal, they lose control. Over time, your consistent silence becomes a language, one that says, my peace is not up for negotiation. Hack 4. Reframe the situation. Turn insults into insight. The fourth Stoic hack is one of the most profound. Reframe insults and negativity into lessons. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, when you wake up in the morning, expect to meet deceitful, jealous, and ungrateful people. He wasn't being pessimistic, he was being prepared. This mental preparation, called premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evil, allowed Stoic to reframe challenges before they even occurred. When something bad happened, it wasn't a shock, it was expected, and therefore manageable. When toxic people insult or criticize you, instead of reacting with anger, pause and ask, what does this teach me about patience, resilience, or self-control? Every insult becomes a mirror showing you where you still react emotionally. Every manipulator becomes a test of your composure. Every betrayal becomes a lesson in self-reliance. This reframe turns every toxic interaction into an opportunity for growth. Seneca said, no man was ever made wise by chance. Your calmness in the face of disrespect is not weakness, it's wisdom in action. Once you learn to reframe negativity, you no longer waste energy hating. You use them as silent teachers on your path to inner mastery. Hack 5. Practice indifference, the power of silent strength. The fifth Stoic hack is the ultimate weapon against toxicity. Indifference. Epictetus taught the concept of apatheia, not apathy, but serene indifference toward things beyond your control. When you stop needing approval or fearing disapproval, no one can manipulate. Toxic people thrive when they sense emotional dependence. They use your desire for validation to control you, but when you no longer seek their approval, their power dissolves instantly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, be indifferent to what makes no difference. That means their opinion, gossip, or judgment holds no value unless you give it value. True indifference doesn't come from cold, it comes from strength. It's the silent confidence of someone who knows their worth. When you practice this kind of calm indifference, toxic people become irrelevant. Their words lose meaning. Their games lose effect. Your silence becomes a mirror reflecting their own weakness. As the Stoics would say, you can't be enslaved by what you learn to live without. Teach ye Stoic state of silence. Silence in Stoicism is not the absence of words, it's the presence of mastery. It means choosing calm over chaos, control over reaction, action, and wisdom over ego. When you deal with toxic people silently, you're not being passive, you're being strategic. You're reclaiming the power they try to steal through manipulation. You're communicating strength through composure. Each of these Stoic hacks, the pause, detach, silent boundary, reframing, and indifference, builds an invisible fortress around your mind. Within that fortress, no insult can wound you, no gossip can shake, and no manipulator can reach. This is the state the Stoics call ataraxia, unshakable tranquility. It's not that you stop caring about people, it's that you stop giving power to those who don't deserve it. As Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom doesn't come from fighting every battle. It comes from realizing which battles aren't worth fighting at all. In a world filled with noise, manipulation, and emotional chaos, silence is your greatest defense. Toxic people crave attention, drama, and control, but the Stoic stays silent, focused, and untouchable. Remember these 5 Stoic hacks and live them daily. Master the pause, let silence speak before your emotions do. Detach emotionally, be the observer, not the victim. Set boundaries without words, act, don't argue. Reframe every insult, turn negativity into wisdom. Practice indifference, rise above the noise. When you embody these principles, you'll no longer waste your energy on people who don't deserve. You'll walk away from manipulation with quiet dignity, not bitterness. You'll develop an inner calm that no insult can disturb. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." That's the essence of Stoic silence, not to prove yourself, not to fight, but to rise above. Your silence will confuse them, your peace will disarm them, and your calmness will remind them of something they can't destroy: your self-mastery. If this video gave you strength, clarity, or peace, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with someone who needs to hear these timeless Stoic lessons. Because the more you master your silence, the less power negativity has over. And that, as the Stoics knew, is the highest form of victory. Your mind is your greatest tool or your worst enemy. You can't stop replaying past mistakes, worrying about the future, or analyzing what someone said 5 days ago. You overthink everything until it drains your energy and steals your peace. But what if you could silence that mental noise and live with the calm focus of a Stoic philosopher, unshaken by chaos, unbothered by doubt, and completely in control of your thought? For over 2,000 years, Stoicism has taught powerful techniques to master the mind. The Stoics lived in turbulent times filled with wars, betrayal, and uncertainty, yet they remained calm, grounded, and unbreakable. In this video, we'll uncover 8 Stoic secrets that will help you stop overthinking, clear your mind, and cultivate true inner peace no matter what's happening around. Overthinking is one of the most common battles of modern life. It robs you of sleep, ruins your focus, and fills your days with unnecessary anxiety. You replay conversations in your head, doubt your decision, and constantly imagine the worst outcome. It's exhausting, and the Stoics understood this long before psychology ever named it. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus knew that peace of mind isn't something you find, it's something you train. They believed that emotional suffering doesn't come from events themselves, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those events. In other words, it's not what happens, but how you think about it that causes turmoil. By learning to observe, question, and master your thought, you can unlock an incredible state of mental freedom. These 8 Stoic secrets will show you exactly how to do that step by step. Secret 1. Separate what you can control from what you can't. The first Stoic secret is the foundation of peace. Understanding control. Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control and others are not." It sounds simple, but this principle can change your life. Most overthinking comes from trying to control things that are beyond your reach: what others think of you, how people behave, what the future holds. The Stoics taught that the only things you truly control are your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. Everything else, your reputation, your circumstances, even the opinions of others, are external and beyond your command. Whenever you catch yourself overthinking, ask, "Is this within my control?" If it is, act. If it isn't, release it. This one question will save you from endless mental loops and free up your energy to focus on what truly matters. Secret 2. Train the mind to live in the present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Overthinking often comes from living anywhere, but here dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. The Stoics believed that the present moment is the only reality you can ever influence. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. When you fully engage with the present, overthinking begins to dissolve. Start your day by grounding yourself in the now. Feel your breath, notice your surroundings, and remind yourself this moment is enough. When your thoughts start drifting to what ifs and should have, gently pull them back to what's in front of you. As Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Overthinking magnifies problems that don't even exist yet. Living in the present keeps your mind focused and peaceful. Secret 3. Practice voluntary discomfort. This Stoic practice might sound unusual, but it's one of the most powerful ways to silence over. Seneca advised his students to occasionally live simply sleeping on the floor, eating plain food, or wearing modest clothing to remind themselves how little they actually need. When you deliberately step out of comfort, your mind becomes resilient. You stop fearing discomfort because you've experienced it and learned that you can handle it. Most overthinking comes from fear of failure, rejection, or loss. But when you expose yourself to small, controlled challenges, those fears lose their grip. It's not about self-punishment, it's about preparation. The Stoics practiced hardship to build strength. Once you stop fearing discomfort, you stop over-analyzing every possible danger. You simply live. And that is true peace. Secret 4. Control your inner dialogue. Every day, your mind runs a constant stream of thought. Most of them go unnoticed, yet they shape how you feel. The Stoics knew that peace comes from mastering this inner voice. Marcus Aurelius often wrote in his private journal to question his thoughts and challenge irrational belief. You can do the same. When you catch yourself overthinking, pause and ask, is this thought helpful or harmful? Do I know this for sure, or am I just assuming? What evidence do I have that this fear is real? By interrogating your thoughts, you weaken their control over you. Epictetus said, it's not things that upset us, but our opinions about things. Changing the way you talk to yourself changes everything. Instead of saying, this is too hard, this is a chance to grow strong. The words you choose can either imprison your mind or set it free. Secret 5. Practice the art of negative visualization. One of the most misunderstood Stoic exercises is negative visualization. The Stoics believed that imagining loss could actually bring more peace, not fear. They would reflect on the impermanence of things, relationship, possession, even life itself, not to become sad, but to cultivate gratitude and accept. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself daily that everything is temporary. When you briefly imagine losing something, you stop taking it for granted. Instead of obsessing over, what if I lose this? You start appreciating that you have it now. Overthinking feeds on attachment and fear of change. Negative visualization dissolves that fear. By accepting impermanence, you gain emotional stability. You stop clinging to control and begin to live with appreciation and freedom. Secret 6. Journal to declutter the mind. Seneca once wrote that writing is the great teacher. The Stoics used journaling as a mental cleansing ritual to untangle their thoughts and clarify their emotions. When you overthink, your mind feels cluttered, like a room filled with noise. Writing your thoughts down is like cleaning that room. It helps you see patterns, identify fears, and separate rational ideas from emotional reactions. Each morning or evening, write about what's bothering. Then ask yourself what's within your control and what's not. Over time, journaling becomes a mirror that reflects your mind clearly. It's not just a tool for reflection, it's therapy for the soul. Marcus Aurelius' meditations was essentially a journal. He wrote not to impress others, but to strengthen his mind. His private notes, never meant for publication, still teach millions. That's the power of writing. It transforms your inner chaos into clarity. Secret 7. Accept what happened, then choose your response. At the heart of Stoicism lies one of its most powerful principles, amor fati, love of fate. The Stoics taught that true peace comes when you stop resisting reality. You cannot control what happened, but you can always control how you respond. When something goes wrong, most people overthink, why did this happen? What if it gets worse? But the Stoic mind asks, what can I do with this? Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to grow. When you adopt this mindset, you no longer waste energy wishing things were different. You adapt, respond, and move forward. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It doesn't mean you approve of everything. It means you see clearly without being enslaved by resistance. And in that clarity, overthinking disappears. Secret 8. Meditate on mortality. The final Stoic secret might sound dark, but it's one of the most liberating practices. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. The Stoics meditated on death not out of morbidity, but to sharpen their focus on what truly matters. When you remember that your time is limited, trivial worries lose their power. You stop overthinking because you realize how little most of your fears actually matter. Seneca wrote, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. When you live with awareness of mortality, every day becomes precious. You begin to act with purpose, speak with honesty, and let go of what doesn't deserve your peace. Memento mori doesn't invite fear, it invites clarity. It reminds you to live now, fully, instead of being trapped in endless analysis about what might happen tomorrow. These 8 Stoic secrets are not quick fix. They are timeless disciplines that can reshape your mind from the inside out. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They faced betrayal, illness, war, and loss, yet they stood calm amid the storm. Why? Because they mastered their thought. Overthinking will always try to creep in, but Stoicism teaches you how to stop letting it control you. When you separate what you can control from what you can't, you stop wasting energy on the impossible. When you stay in the present, your mind stops wandering to fears that don't exist. When you face discomfort, you build resilience. When you journal, you make peace with your thought. And when you practice acceptance and gratitude, the noise of life fades into quiet strength. The Stoic life isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about understanding. It's not about avoiding pain, it's about transforming it into wisdom. Every time you face overthink, remember, you are not your thought. You are the observer behind it. If you make these Stoic habits part of your life, you'll find a peace that can't be shaken by outside chaos. You'll stop trying to control everything and start massive. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize, and you will find strength. So, the next time your thoughts spiral, take a deep breath and remember these words. Life will always bring uncertainty, but your peace doesn't depend on circumstance. It depends on the calm fortress you build within. If this video brought you clarity, wisdom, or even a moment of peace, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with someone who needs to hear these Stoic truths. Every week, we explore timeless philosophy and practical wisdom to help you live with strength, focus, and purpose. The path to peace begins not in changing the world, but in mastering the mind. And as the Stoics taught, master the mind, and you master your life. 10 morning Stoic rituals to become unstoppable every day. What if I told you that the secret to becoming unstoppable doesn't start in the middle of the day or with some big achievement, but in the quiet moments of your morning? The Stoics philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus believe that the way you start your day shapes not only the hours that follow, but the entire course of your life. These morning rituals, rooted in Stoic wisdom, are more than just habits. They are timeless principles to fortify your mind, sharpen your focus, and give you unshakable strength to face whatever the day throws at you. We live in a world of constant noise, endless notifications, endless to-do lists, and pressures that seem to come from every direction. Most people wake up already feeling behind, chasing time instead of owning it. But the Stoics had a different approach. They believed in starting the day with intentionality, clarity, and inner calm. By practicing the right rituals in the morning, you can train your mind to rise above stress, take control of your emotions, and step into each day with unshakable purpose. In this video, we'll explore 10 powerful morning Stoic rituals that will transform the way you live. These aren't just theoretical ideas. They are practical actions you can begin using tomorrow morning to become unstoppable every single day. Ritual 1. Morning reflection. The first ritual is reflection. Marcus Aurelius began each day by reminding himself of the challenges he would face: selfishness, arrogance, rudeness, and ingratitude from others. By expecting difficulties, he prepared his mind to handle them calmly. When you wake up, take a few minutes to reflect on the day ahead. Acknowledge that challenges will come, but also remind yourself that you control your response. This mindset immediately gives you strength because nothing will catch you off guard. Ritual 2. Practice gratitude. Before rushing into your tasks, pause to think about what you already have. Gratitude was central to Stoic life. Seneca often reminded his readers to appreciate life itself as a gift. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each morning: your health, your family, the chance to learn, or even the gift of another day. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance and gives you calm confidence to face challenges. Ritual 3. Rehearse your day. The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This doesn't mean being pessimistic. It means mentally rehearsing the obstacles you may face so you can prepare calmly. For example, if you know your commute will be stressful, remind yourself that traffic is outside your control. If you're likely to face criticism at work, prepare to respond with patience. This ritual turns potential problems into opportunities for resilience. Ritual 4. Embrace silence and stillness. In a noisy world, silence is a superpower. Take 10 minutes in the morning to sit quietly without distractions. No phone, no news, no chaos, just silence. This trains your mind to find calm even in the storm. Marcus Aurelius wrote that people run away to the mountains or the sea in search of peace, but real peace is found within. Beginning your day with stillness allows you to face the noise of life without losing yourself. Ritual 5. Breath and body awareness. The Stoics believed in mastering both mind and body. Starting your morning with simple breathing exercises grounds you in the present. A few deep breaths calm the nervous system, lower stress, and center your thoughts. Combine this with gentle stretches or a short walk. It's not about building muscle here. It's about aligning your body and mind so they work together with clarity and purpose. Ritual 6. Read a page of wisdom. Knowledge fuels resilience. Seneca advised reading philosophy daily to sharpen the mind. Instead of scrolling social media first thing in the morning, read a page of Stoic wisdom, scripture, or any meaningful text that nourishes your spirit. Even 5 minutes of reading can set the tone for how you think throughout the day. This small act feeds your mind with strength rather than distraction. Ritual 7. Affirm your values. Stoicism is about living in alignment with virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Each morning, remind yourself of your values. Say to yourself, today I will act with honesty. Today I will choose courage over fear. Today I will seek progress, not perfection. These affirmations keep your compass steady even when the storms of life try to throw you off course. Ritual 8. Visualize your best self in action. While Stoics warned against unrealistic fantasies, They also believed in using visualization to shape behavior. Close your eyes for a minute and visualize yourself handling challenges with patience, leading with kindness, and staying calm under pressure. By mentally rehearsing your best self, you strengthen the habits that will eventually define your character. Ritual 9. Focus on what you can control. Epictetus taught one of the most famous Stoic lessons. Some things are in our control, and some are not. Begin your day by listing the things you can control: your effort, your choices, your attitude. Then list what you cannot control: the weather, other people's opinions, unexpected events. By reminding yourself of this distinction each morning, you avoid wasting energy on the uncontrollable and instead channel your focus into what truly matters. Ritual 10. Take immediate action. Finally, the Stoics warned against procrastination. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Start your day by taking immediate action on something important. It could be tackling the hardest task on your list, writing down your goals, or simply making your bed. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates unstoppable energy for the rest of your day. And there you have it, powerful morning rituals rooted in ancient Stoic wisdom, yet more relevant today than ever. When you begin your day with reflection, gratitude, clarity, and decisive action, you don't just survive your mornings, you conquer them. These practices aren't about adding more noise to your life. They're about removing the clutter and connecting with what truly matters. The truth is, becoming unstoppable isn't about being perfect or avoiding obstacles. It's about facing them with the right mindset. The Stoics remind us that every morning is a chance to reset, to strengthen our inner fortress, and to step into the world with calm, courage, and conviction. If you start your mornings with these rituals, you'll notice subtle but profound shifts. Less stress, more focus, deeper resilience, and a sense of control over your life that distractions and chaos can't take away. So, as you step into tomorrow, remember this: greatness isn't built in the grand moments, but in the small, repeated choices of each morning. Cultivate these rituals, live them consistently, and you'll not only transform your mornings, you'll transform your life. If you found this video insightful and want to keep unlocking ancient wisdom for modern strength, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this with someone who could use a dose of Stoic clarity. Your unstoppable journey begins every morning. Make sure you own it. 7 silent Stoic habits that make you mentally untouchable. What if I told you there's a way to develop a level of inner strength so powerful that no criticism, no stress, no failure, and no chaos in the outside world could shake you? What if you could walk into any situation, whether it's a personal setback, workplace drama, or a life-changing challenge, and remain calm, focused, and unshakable? The truth is, the ancient Stoics mastered a mindset that made them mentally untouchable. They didn't just survive life's storm, they thrived. And today, we're going to uncover 7 silent Stoic habits that, if you practice them, will make you stronger than 99% of people you meet. Stoicism isn't just old philosophy locked away in dusty books. It's a practical guide to life. It teaches us how to control our emotions, how to react to problems, and how to find peace even in the most difficult times. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced war, plagues, and political betrayal, yet still wrote in his journal about gratitude, discipline, and self-control. Or Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers in history. Their lives were filled with challenge, but through Stoic habits, they became mentally untouchable. In this video, we're going to break down 7 powerful habits that can change the way you react and the way you live. These habits don't require you to be a philosopher, a monk, or a billionaire. They only require practice, discipline, and the willingness to shift how you view the world. By the end, you'll not only understand what makes Stoics so mentally resilient, but you'll also have the tools to apply these principles in your own life. So, let's begin. Number 1, practicing the art of control. The Stoics believe that the first step to unshakable mental strength is recognizing what you can control and letting go of what you can't. This is known as the dichotomy of control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about how much mental energy we waste worrying about things we cannot influence, other people's opinions, unexpected events, or the past. A Stoic trains their mind to focus only on what they can change: their thoughts, choices, and action. For example, let's say you didn't get the job you wanted. Most people spiral into anger or self-doubt. A Stoic, however, asks, "What is within my control?" The answer might be preparing better for the next interview, improving their skills, or maintaining a positive attitude. Everything else the decision of the employer. The competition is out of their hand. By internalizing this habit, you stop wasting energy on battles you cannot win, and you direct your focus where it truly matters, on yourself. This makes you calm in situations that make others panic, which is why people who practice Stoicism appear untouchable. Number 2, the power of negative visualization. This might sound strange, but one of the most powerful Stoic practices regularly imagining worst-case scenarios. Seneca advised, he robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. Instead of avoiding unpleasant thoughts, Stoics would visualize potential loss, losing wealth, health, status, or even loved ones. This wasn't meant to create sadness, but gratitude and resilience. Modern psychology backs this up. When we confront fears in our mind, we reduce their emotional grip. For example, imagine yourself losing your phone or your job. While uncomfortable, your brain starts realizing that even in those scenarios, life continues. Suddenly, the fear of losing these things becomes smaller, and gratitude for having them grows larger. By practicing negative visualization, you immunize your mind against shock. When setbacks happen, you're not destroyed, you're prepared. This silent habit transforms fear into strength and makes you mentally untouchable. Number 3, voluntary discomfort. The Stoics often practice putting themselves in uncomfortable situations to train their resilience. Epictetus said, difficulties show a person's character. Therefore, when trouble comes, think of yourself as a wrestler whom God has paired with a tough young man. Seneca would sometimes eat only plain bread, wear simple clothes, and sleep on the floor just to remind himself that he could endure discomfort. The goal wasn't suffering for suffering's sake, but freedom from dependence. Today, this can be applied in many ways. Taking cold shower, fasting for a day, exercising discipline with food, social media, or entertainment, walking instead of driving, even when it's inconvenient. When you choose discomfort voluntarily, life's involuntary discomforts like rejection, failure, or setbacks don't break. You've trained your mind to adapt. And when people see you calm in situations where others collapse, they begin to realize you are untouchable. Number 4, mastery over emotion. The Stoics weren't emotionless. They simply didn't let emotions control them. Epictetus said, it's not what happens, but how you react to it that matters. Most people are slaves to anger, fear, jealousy, or sadness. A Stoic learns to pause before reacting, to examine whether an emotion serves them or harms them. This habit is about responding rather than react. For example, if someone insults you, your first instinct might be to fire back. But a Stoic asks, does this person's opinion define me? Or does my response reveal more about my strength? Often, silence or calmness is the most powerful reply. Modern research in psychology supports this. Emotional regulation is one of the greatest predictors of success and mental health. The ability to master your emotions doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. And wisdom, unlike rage, makes you untouched. Number 5, daily reflection and journal. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations is essentially his private journal. It wasn't written for an audience, yet it remains one of the most profound Stoic texts ever created. Why? Because reflection is a habit that sharpens the mind. Every evening, Stoics would reflect on their day. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow? This simple act of journaling builds self-awareness, which is the foundation of mental strength. In today's world of constant noise and distraction, reflection allows you to pause, analyze, and redirect your energy. It prevents you from living on autopilot and helps you align your actions with your values. When you cultivate this silent habit, you not only improve each day, but also build a fortress of self-knowledge. And the person who knows themselves deeply cannot be easily shaken by the outside. Number 6, living with purpose and virtue. Stoicism isn't just about enduring pain, it's about living with meaning. The Stoics believe that virtue, living with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline is the highest good. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. A Stoic doesn't chase empty pleasures or external validation. They align their life with their values and principles. When you live with purpose, you stop being distracted by trivial things. Criticism doesn't derail you, failures don't define you, and temptations lose their grip. Think of great leaders, thinkers, or creators. They became unshakable because they had a purpose bigger than themselves. Living for virtue gives your life direction, and when you know your path, nothing can mentally break. Number 7, memento mori, remembering death. The final and perhaps most powerful Stoic habit is the practice of memento mori, remembering that life is short and death is inevitable. Far from being depressed, this habit gives life urgency, clarity. Seneca wrote, let us prepare our mind as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. When you remember death, you stop wasting time on meaningless arguments, procrastination, or trivial worry. You start valuing each moment, each conversation, each opportunity. This perspective makes you mentally untouchable because you realize that nothing, failure, criticism, rejection matters as much as living fully right. People often avoid thinking about death, but the Stoics embraced it as the ultimate teacher. And once you accept that the end is inevitable, fear loses its power over you. So there you have it, 7 silent Stoic habits that can transform your mind into an unshakable fortress. 1. Focus only on what you can control. 2. Practice negative visualization. 3. Embrace voluntary discomfort. 4. Master your emotions. 5. Reflect and journal daily. 6. Live with purpose and virtue. 7. Remember death to live fully. If you start incorporating even one of these habits into your daily life, you'll begin to notice a shift. You'll respond to challenges with calmness, see setbacks as opportunity, and live with a strength that others can't quite understand. That's what makes you mentally untouchable. Thank you for watching. If this video gave you value, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like more deep dives into Stoicism and practical wisdom, make sure to hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos.
There was once a moment, a quiet dawn, a breath of air in a still forest, the hush before the sun rises, when you realize that you have more than you thought. It might have been the gentle warmth of a friend's hand, the laughter of a child, the cup of water in your hand after thirst, and in that simple recognition you felt a spark. That spark is gratitude. Now imagine that spark as the key that rewires your brain, literally, in the language of neuroscience, to open the door to happiness. Firefox, our minds are wired with habits. Some are benign, some are silent saboteurs. We incline toward what the Stoics called apatheia, a freedom from destructive passions. But the modern mind is often caught in low-grade anxiety, regret, expectation, comparison. We chase when I'll be happy rather than live in what I am grateful for now. But science now tells us gratitude is not just a feel-good mood, it is a practice that changes our brain. According to research, when we feel gratitude, we activate regions in the brain associated with reward, social connection, value judgment, and moral cognition. The medial prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the ventral striatum. Gratitude doesn't only flick a switch, it rewires pathways. It strengthens neural circuits of positivity, of goodwill. Think of your mind as a garden. The Stoics taught, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, that you tend the garden of your mind. You don't let weeds of complaint and envy overrun you. They told you to attend to what you can control, to accept what you cannot, and to cultivate the virtue of acknowledgement. Gratitude is one of those virtues. It says, I affirm what I have, what I am, what I can give. It says, I accept present reality with open hands and open heart, while still striving. It's not passive surrender, it's active recognition. It's saying, yes, this moment, this breath, this person, this gift matters. Crimson. Psychology confirms that people who consciously count their blessings tend to be happier and less depressed. Gratitude stimulates the production of dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals in the brain. It also regulates stress hormones like cortisol, calming the nervous system and improving our emotional resilience. In other words, gratitude is not fluff, it is brain science, wired us to pay attention to threats, to remember pain more than pleasure, to fixate on what's wrong rather than what's right. The Stoics knew this. They called it prosoche, vigilance of the mind. But by practicing gratitude, you tilt the balance. You train your brain to notice what is working, what is given, what you can build on. You shift from deficiency, I don't have, to sufficiency, I do have, without complacency. You still strive, but you do so from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. His is the story. A person walks through the rubble of their life. Perhaps they lost a dream, a relationship, a job, health. They sit down, they breathe, they say, what remains? What's here now? What am I grateful for? At first, the answer might whisper, the roof over my head, the sunrise, the kindness of a stranger. Then the whisper grows into a voice. I'm grateful for the struggle because it taught me. I'm grateful for the wound because it reminded me I'm alive. I'm grateful for the unknown because it invited me to grow. In that moment, gratitude becomes the pivot. Not everything is perfect, but for what is present, I give thanks. And that thanks rewires the brain and rewires the story. Because gratitude aligns with Stoic courage and wisdom. The Stoic doesn't ignore reality. The Stoic embraces it. The Stoic sees adversity as opportunity for the inner work. Gratitude is this inner work. It says, adversity can teach, loss can reveal, pain can refine. If you can find one thing to be grateful for, even in hardship, you activate your resilience muscle. You shift from victim to participant. You say, I may not choose the cards dealt, but I choose how I play. Marcus Aurelius wrote, begin each day by telling yourself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial. And yet you maintain your integrity and tranquility. Gratitude helps you hold that stance. Now consider how gratitude rewiring works in day-to-day life. You wake in the morning. You could recall the tasks, the worries, the deadlines, or you could pause. The air in your lungs, the light on your skin, a loved one's presence. That moment of thanks triggers your brain's reward system. Relief may not choose the wind, but you choose how you set the sail. Gratitude is one way you set your sail. In the face of challenge you say, thank you for what I have. Thank you for what is becoming. Thank you for this moment. Motivation flows from this, because when your brain is rewired toward noticing what supports you rather than what opposes you, you gain momentum. You don't depend on external validation or when I'll be happy. You become internally grounded. You build what the Stoics called eudaimonia, flourishing, not by accumulating more, but by becoming more. You respond, you act, you give thanks, you grow. And as you grow, you also give. Gratitude sparks generosity, social connection. The brain regions active in gratitude are the same that light up when we connect, when we empathize, when we relate. So your gratitude is also a bridge to others. It binds, it strengthens community, it opens your heart, and at the same time, it fortifies your mind. Let's ground this now. How to practice this rewiring. 1. Begin each day with a gratitude pause. Before you scroll thoughts or tasks, breathe and name 3 things you are grateful for, big or small. This shifts your brain's orientation. 2. At the end of the day, reflect. What happened today I didn't expect, yet I'm thankful for? Let it anchor the memory as positive. 3. When you face a challenge, ask, what is this prompting in me to learn? What is revealed? And give thanks for that insight. 4. Tell someone, thank you for. Expressing gratitude magnifies it. Your brain, theirs, the connection. Science shows writing gratitude or letters creates lasting brain change. 5. Notice when you slip into lament or envy. Pause, shift your gaze. The Stoic posture, you cannot avoid all pains, but you can choose how you face them. Gratitude becomes your vantage point. And yes, rewiring takes time. Neural pathways strengthen through repetition. The first days may feel forced. But like training a muscle, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Over weeks, you'll find your mind naturally spotting things to be appreciative of. Your baseline mood lifts. You become more resilient when storms come because your internal wiring already includes gratitude. Alive. We matter. This matters. In that pause, the fog lifts a little. You see your path more clearly. You climb not only to reach the summit, but to appreciate the ascent. And when you reach the summit, you stand not only triumphant, but thankful. Carry this truth. Gratitude rewires your brain for happiness. It is a daily act of courage, of recognition, of choice. It is a Stoic stance in a modern world. It is psychology and philosophy entwined. You create within you a neural landscape of appreciation, which transforms how you see, how you feel, how you act. And through that transformation, you become more resilient, more joyful, more present. Today, choose. I will be grateful. I will attend to the good. I will rewire my brain. I will live as if every step matters, because it does. Because in that choice you align with something deep, human, real, alive. You align with the truth that you matter, that life matters, that this moment, right now, is a gift. And in the gift you give thanks, and in the thanks you become richer than you ever thought possible.
Everyone says they want to be happy, yet almost no one can define what happiness truly is. We chase it in money, relationship, achievements, and pleasures, only to find that the feeling fades. The more we chase, the more it seems to slip away. But what if everything we've been taught about happiness is wrong? The ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus believed that real happiness has nothing to do with pleasure or success. Instead, it's something far deeper, far quieter, and far more permanent. In this video, we're going to explore why real happiness is not what you think and how Stoic philosophy can help you find it. In today's world, happiness has become a product. We are told it's something to buy, something to earn, or something to achieve once we've reached a certain goal. Advertisements promise happiness through possession. Social media shows it as a perfect lifestyle, and society links it to wealth, fame, and relationships. So let's uncover what the Stoics taught about happiness, why most people misunderstand it, and how you can achieve the kind of happiness that can't be shaken by loss, failure, or time. 1. The modern trap: mistaking pleasure for happiness. The first mistake we make is confusing pleasure with happiness. Pleasure is external and temporary. It depends on conditions: a good meal, a new gadget, someone's approval. It's pleasant while it lasts, but it always fades. Seneca warned, pleasure, unless it has been kept within bounds, knows no bound. He meant that chasing pleasure is like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. The Stoics didn't reject pleasure entirely. They simply refused to depend on it. Because once your sense of well-being depends on external things, money, love, comfort, you've handed over control of your happiness to forces you can't control. True happiness in Stoic philosophy isn't about adding more pleasure to life. It's about needing less. It's the peace that comes from freedom from craving, fear, and dependence. True happiness is an inside job, the power of inner control. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that freedom, and therefore happiness, begins in the mind. He said, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Think about it. Most unhappiness comes from trying to control what we can't. Other people, the future, or outcome. When we base our mood on what happens outside us, we become emotional puppets. But when you focus only on what's within your control, your thought, your choices, your attitude, you reclaim your power. No insult, no rejection, no loss can disturb your inner peace. The Stoics practiced this through constant awareness. When things went wrong, they didn't say, why me? They said, is this within my control? If not, they let it go. That's not that's wisdom. It's the discipline of mind that keeps happiness rooted deep, unshaken by storm. 3. Living in agreement with nature. One of the most misunderstood Stoic teachings is the idea of living according to nature. This doesn't mean running off to the forest or abandoning modern life. It means aligning your life with the way the universe actually works, or accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thought, and those thoughts, according to, should be in harmony with reason and nature. When we resist what happens, when we argue with life, we create suffering. But when we accept events as natural, even the painful one, we free ourselves from unnecessary misery. To live according to nature is to understand that change, loss, and impermanence are natural laws. You can't stop, but you can learn to move with them, not against, and in that acceptance lies peace. For the role of virtue and happiness. For the Stoics, happiness wasn't about feeling good, it was about being good. Virtue, not pleasure, was the key to a fulfilling life. They identified 4 main virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom is knowing what is truly good or bad. Courage is doing what's right, even when it's hard. Justice is treating others fairly. Temperance is mastering your impulses and desires. Seneca said, a happy life is one which is in accordance with its own nature and cannot be brought low by any chance of it. In other words, happiness is moral integrity in action. When your actions align with virtue, you feel a deep, stable sense of peace, not the excitement of pleasure, but the quiet satisfaction of living right. That's the Stoic version of happiness, a steady flame, not a fleeting spark. 5. Emotional discipline. Mastering your reaction. The Stoics never said you shouldn't feel emotion. They said you shouldn't be ruled. They believed that most emotional suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. If someone insults, that's just an event. It becomes pain when you interpret it as an attack on your worth. Epictetus put it simply, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Learning to pause between stimulus and response, to think before reacting, is a superpower. It gives you space to respond with reason instead of impulse, and in that space lies serenity. When you stop giving every negative thought or emotion control over your peace, you begin to experience a happiness that no chaos can shake. 6. Gratitude. Seeing what you already have. The Stoics practiced daily gratitude not as a trend, but as a philosophy. They constantly reminded themselves that life is short, fragile, and uncertain. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his meditation, do not dream of things you do not have. Rather, reckon up the blessings you do possess. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. You stop chasing happiness because you realize you already have enough to be content. The Stoics even advised imagining life without the things you love, a technique called negative visualization. By mentally rehearsing life, you develop appreciation and resilience. The point isn't to be pessimistic, it's to awaken gratitude for what's here now. Real happiness begins when you stop needing more and start valuing what you already have. 7. Freedom from desire and fear. Desire and fear are twin forces that rob us of peace. The Stoics taught that if you want to be truly happy, you must free yourself from both. Desire makes you restless, always chasing what's next. Fear makes you hesitant, always dreading what could happen. Both pull you away from the present moment. The Stoics approached this through a mindset of contented sufficiency. They learned to desire what they already had and to fear nothing that nature brings. Seneca said, "He is most powerful who has himself in his own power." When you no longer need things to be happy and no longer fear losing them, you become emotionally invincible. That's the essence of Stoic joy, freedom from both craving and dread. 8. Accepting death as a teacher of life. It might sound dark, but the Stoics constantly reflected on death, not to be morbid, but to stay grounded in what truly mattered. Memento mori, remember you must die, was a Stoic practice reminding people that life is temporal. Marcus Aurelius said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." When you accept death, you stop wasting time chasing trivial pleasures or meaningless goals. You start valuing truth, virtue, and presence. You become fearless because you realize that everything external is temporary anyway. Ironically, thinking about death makes you appreciate life more. It helps you see that happiness isn't about how long you live, but how deeply you live with purpose, integrity, and awareness. 9. Finding joy in simplicity. Modern life tells us that more equals better, more possession, more followers, more achievement. But the Stoics found joy in simplicity. Epictetus lived with almost nothing, yet was deeply content. He said, "Wealth consists not in having great possession, but in having few wants." Simplicity doesn't mean poverty, it means clarity. When you stop filling your life with distractions, you make space for what truly matters: reflection, relationships, learning, and purpose. The Stoic finds happiness not in adding things, but in removing illusions, stripping life down to its essence until only peace remains. 10. The present moment, the only place happiness exists. All of Stoic philosophy leads to one simple truth: happiness exists only in the present moment. We suffer because our minds live elsewhere in regret over the past or anxiety about the future. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Confine yourself to the present. Right now is all you ever truly have." When you live in the present without wishing it were different, without needing it to be more, you find stillness. And in that stillness, happiness naturally appears. You stop chasing, you stop resisting, you simply are. That's the Stoic seek. Happiness isn't something to pursue, it's something to uncover. Once the noise of desire and fear fade, real happiness, according to Stoics, is not found in wealth, fame, or comfort. It's not about constant pleasure or perfect circumstance. It's about inner peace, the unshakable calm that comes from wisdom, virtue, and acceptance. As Marcus Aurelius said, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. True happiness doesn't need permission, applause, or perfection. It's the quiet strength of a soul that has made peace with life just as it is. If you found this video insightful, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Stoic wisdom and timeless lessons for modern life. Stay grounded, stay disciplined, and remember, happiness isn't out there somewhere. It's already within, waiting to be understood.